So excited for this one. Which everyone starts kind of tuning in, and then I'll give you guys a little bit of an update on today and what I am about ready to present to all of you guys. I'm really excited about this. This is going to be my first podcast, which I'm super excited about. Third Eye Indigo has kind of been moving in that direction for a while. You guys have heard a lot about my story, my personal story, things that I've done, obstacles that I have overcome, and how I've kind of moved through that, and what kinds of opportunities and medicines and experiences have helped me to step into personal power. And now I kind of want to expand that. So that's kind of where we're moving now. So this is the first podcast, and we're going to have Colin on the first podcast. Colin is a dear friend of mine, a phenomenal teacher. And he is someone that doesn't just talk the talk, but he really walks the walk. So I'm really excited to be able to introduce him to all of you. And yeah, just kind of have a discussion with him and kind of see where this goes. So we'll go ahead and bring him on. Also, if you guys have any questions, please hold on to your questions until the end. And then we'll take questions at the end. That way we can kind of answer anything that you guys may have come up as we're kind of having this discussion that we're going to have today. So let me go ahead and invite him on. Colin!
Hello. How are you doing?
All right. How are you doing today, Colin?
I am doing well. It's been a busy day and but grateful for it. Grateful for the day.
Oh my gosh. Well, I am so excited for you to be on here. Thank you for this opportunity. Thanks for coming on, introducing yourself, and giving us the opportunity just to hear a little bit about your story. You've been very
hmm
inspirational for me in my life, and just an amazing reflection of what service and unconditional love looks like. So I'm very honored to have you here today. If you
Can I
wouldn't
just
mind, just
say I want to give a shout out because I'm from Brooklyn as well. My brother, spiritual brother, Sky Bitsili is watching. He has been a really awesome inspiration in my life, as far as a person who walks the walk, and yeah, in a good way. And so, yeah, I just want to give a shout out to Sky because he's watching right now, Sky Bitsili, and yeah, his dad also has been a really powerful. He's one of my teachers. His dad, who's passed, Melvin Bitsili. So I would give a shout out to Melvin Bitsili because that's a beautiful, powerful man. His teachings still move with me right now. So that's it. Go ahead.
amazing. Yes, thank you for that. Shout out to anyone who isn't just talking the talk, but really walking the walk.
hmm
Thank you for that, Colin. What has kind of just a little bit about your journey? What's kind of inspired you on that? I mean, what's kind of your story? Where did it all begin? That's kind of inspired you to be the person, I guess, that you are. Just kind of give us a little bit of a backstory of who you are, I guess.
Wow, who am I? Well, I could say that I'm constantly evolving to that question, really. It's an ongoing process. I can actually say what I'm becoming, more, if anything. Um, hey, Zachary. Hey, Kathia. Um, yeah, life has been a multitude of steps, not just walking up the steps, but falling down the steps. And in those moments, hey Shiloh, hey Jan, hey Nikki. um, yeah, just the lessons, remembering your lessons, seeing them as blessings, um, being able to eventually really understand that you've been speaking to you all your life about what you need and what's important. And as you go through the what we call ups and downs, as we go through our trials and tribulations, to understand that you've been holding the pen all along. And
Right.
my life has
Right.
been filled with lots of things from, um, life, been filled with like sexual abuse when I was younger, kind of like, what do you call it? What's the word for like families that are not really together?
Dysfunctional.
Dysfunctional, which is like a universal thing, is I feel nowadays. But um,
Right.
yeah, so I had what we would call basics, right? Basics for everyone, and yeah, I had to really go through my basics and find the grace to be able to understand. I mean, down the road, I realized how much of how much of a creation, or how much responsibility I had in the creation of my own story, and
Right.
yeah, so I mean, like an old book that you remember, I don't really talk too much about my past, in the sense, unless it's going to be something that I can use to share for like productivity and growth. But like the stories having to do with whatever,
Right.
I don't like to reread books too many times, unless, if I'm going to reread a book, I'm going to reread the part that inspires me, not the dramatic side of it, or the darkness, or the whatever.
Right.
Everything
Yeah.
inspires, but eventually you want to keep talking about what is good and what is necessary, than what you don't want and what you don't like. Hey,
Right.
Zima.
That's definitely something I definitely have really learned and appreciated about you is you definitely live that example of just being present and being in the now and not just recreating these same stories over and over again.
Yeah,
So
like for instance, there's a woman right now watching. Hey, Anthony. Hey, Brandis. Brandis Short is a woman who lives in Canada, and her and I created a dance company. Why? Just because, and it was an awesome dance company. I mean, in the reality, but the reason that I mention it is, one, she is watching, and I'm just saying hello and hi, Delphi, and but also the importance of just, you know, whatever you want to create, you can create. It all depends on what limitations you're vibrating on. And our limitations come from the stories of our past. And so, in the reality of who is stopping who from doing what, it's always going to be you. And
right.
yeah, so that was a really important thing for me to become
And
aware of in my life.
right. And what kinds of things have you done for yourself in your life to kind of get you to that point? Because I know a lot of us kind of struggle with that of not recreating the same stories again and again, you know. What kinds
Hmm.
of things have you kind of done to help you get to that point where you can just let that go and be present so you're not recreating those
Hmm.
same stories, those same patterns?
Okay. I'm going to answer that question. But then as you're talking, I keep seeing people that I haven't talked to in like maybe a year or something. So hi, Sabrina. Hi, Shaylo. Hi, Somi. My Somi is my sister. She's a beautiful woman in Canada. She's a powerful woman. Um, but yeah, back to the question. Um, well, eventually getting over stories. Hey, tell us. Wow, tell us. Getting over the stories, understanding who's the author, um, becoming aware of, the necessity of whatever the story. Is it really, is it really moving you forward, and things like that. And then really, I had to make peace with myself. I had to make peace with my stories. There's so many things, we try to get rid of so many things. We try to subdue things. We try to cover things up. We try to mask things. But everything that is in our life is necessary. Everything in our life is a teacher. Everything in life gives us the opportunity to learn more about ourselves. And so eventually, Um, and the reality, there's no time like now. So it's never like, I'm too old to get this, or, you know what I mean? At any moment, you can switch your frequency and suddenly realize, like, oh my God, my life has been teaching me about my life, and my choices have been teaching me about my choices. And,
Right.
every time I open my mouth, something happens.
Right. And when you say switch your frequency, um, what exactly does that mean for you to switch your frequency?
Um, well, I could say one of my grandmothers, I've got a bunch of grandmothers, adopted grandmothers, and then there's my actual grandmother who's passed. But one of my teachers, which is a grandmother, um, she would say that all of it, we're all speaking on through one sound. There's one sound, and we're all sharing that sound within our voice. All of our
Mm,
voices are connected to one sound, and this, we can call it the beginning sound. But in the reality of that is that this frequency, in that sound, there's love. This
mm,
so it's not. That's why they say love is not anything you have to go after. It's just always there. You just have to open up to it. Like, it's like air. You don't really think about breathing
mm,
air, but you're just doing it naturally. It's just yeah, it's just present. So frequency, we all, it's like some things that we say, like, oh, we need is love and things like that. The reality of it is just saying it alone is joining the frequency. And then when you join a frequency, then you've got to maintain a frequency. So um, whatever frequency you want to be on, you have to maintain it. You want to be a loving person, then it's not just being a loving person, but it's getting to the door of that, opening the door, and then when everything rushes in to try to prevent you from being a loving person, you do
right.
everything in your power to keep that door open. You find
Right.
every possible way to keep that door open so it stays within your thing. It's almost like your phone number or your social security number or any of these numbers where, you'll remember that first before you remember anything else. Someone will tell you all that you need is love and you'll forget that, but you'll remember your phone number and your social security number and your bank account number, and you'll remember to like go on your Facebook. You remember a whole bunch of things, but some of the most powerful things, the frequency of it, it's just a moment, right? So yeah, it's about maintaining the frequency of whatever it is that you're desiring to be with or on and things like that.
Right. Now I know for myself, I really have to be consistent in my life in order to really maintain that, especially when I'm going through challenges in my life, even just waking up and not feeling it that day.
Hmm.
And so I guess what my question is for you, what kind of things do you practice or do you add into your life so that you can maintain that consistency of just stepping into that frequency? Because some days I do find it harder than other days to be in that unconditional love service frequency.
Hmm. Well, before I answer that question, I'm going to say hello to Robert Johanna Gay. Hey, bro, how you doing, man? Can't wait to see you one day. That'll be really nice. I love you very much, and you're a beautiful woman. And hey, sister, Guse Celestine. That's one amazing sister. People in my life are just so amazing. So really grateful to like have these
Mm,
people pop up on this place here. Thank you, Angela, for bringing
yes.
people back into my life in this way. And my love and sister, love dream thriver, Brandy Hambrick is watching also. So say what's up? Okay, done. Okay, so the question about frequency. Well, practices like I love meditation. Um, I like just positive thinking, positive affirmations, but not just kind of like inserting the meme, but being the meme. There are a lot of things that we
Mhm.
see that we don't actually really take in fully. So, wherever it is, I try to like be within practice being within the waking dream, being active within the waking dream, understanding that, sometimes we think about being able to control a dream, and if we were able to control a dream, it would be really awesome and something, something. But we're in a dream right now that we're able to control,
Right.
and so it's that attention to that. And so meditation, I sing every day. I love singing. Um,
Mm,
my one of my teachers, Melvin Bitsili, he has some amazing songs, and maybe one or two of them I have in me from hearing it enough. And so things like that, things passed down from teachers, information passed down from teachers, that I've written down. I try to like read every day, just to remind myself, because I know I'm always learning. I know that I'm growing. I know that for sure. Um,
right.
Thanks, Robert. And so yeah, understanding. I mean, one of my teachers told me once that you don't really have to say your truth. It's really good, but when you speak, your truth is being still funneled underneath your words in the sound current of your words. Your truth is still there. Maybe your
Right.
truth is coming through your body language whilst you're speaking. So your body is saying something else whilst you're speaking. When you sing, um, especially when it comes to like the ceremonial way of life, when you sing in a ceremonial place, so there's the song, but underneath the song, the truth about your story, whatever's going on with you, all of those things are in the sound. How
Mm,
can it not be? Because vibration, all of our truth is connected to vibration. When
right.
when you speak, your truth is the vibration, and when it's heard, it's a bigger vibration. When someone speaks a truth, and everyone is sitting in the room, and before their minds get it, their body gets it. Their bodies, you start getting goosebumps, or you get that deep internal when someone finished saying something. Is because on a deep cellular level your body responded. And
Yeah, I
so
like that. Yeah.
yeah, so that frequency, so tuning yourself to that frequency where in life your body is responding to the truth that you're creating more than it being a mental thing.
Right. I
Yeah.
like that. I like that a lot. Yeah, I feel like the singing thing, that's something actually that you kind of, because when I was young, I used to love to sing. I used to sing a lot. That was like one of my favorite things. And meeting you has re-inspired that actually in me to kind of tap back into singing. Because I remember there was
Mm-hmm.
something that you had said to me once that was, I know you got a song in you. And I was
Mm-hmm.
like, yeah, I'm thinking to myself, like, yeah, I do. I've got many songs in me. So I definitely resonate with that,
Mm-hmm.
with song being vibration and just like really tuning into that.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah, one of my
yeah,
teachers in Peru, she taught me this in a really good way. She told me to write about myself, write some truth about myself, and just
mm,
whatever, as whatever the word is, as shadowy as possible. The stuff that
right.
you don't really want to write or say or think about. But so I wrote this
Mm,
stuff down, and then she said to sing it. She said
uh,
to sing those words, find a way to put it into a melody and sing your truth. And so as I was singing it, I was like, ooh, I'm kind of making this catchy. This is but
right.
it was about my darkness, and it sounded
Yeah,
like an awesome song. And I was like,
right.
holy cow, suddenly I'm laughing at my darkness. Suddenly I'm finding this joy in it, understanding the beauty in the song. Or if anything, I shifted the frequency of my darkness into a song, and the harmony
I
that
like
was
that. Yeah.
within it started to give me a different perspective of my shadows or things like that. Even the
Hmm.
beauty within shadow, the importance within shadow, and also how not to run away from it, how not to suppress it. Because if you're singing something, it's not being suppressed, it's being released. And so,
Right.
yeah, that's a really important thing. So that taught me a lot. I'm still learning about it. I'm still learning about everything, thank goodness. And um, yeah, and the hey Jocelyn, hey William, hey Citizen, and hey Sabrina.
Yes.
Yeah, just the hey, Mary. Oh, okay. I'm gonna stop for 1 second. Mary Dula Betsili is one amazing woman. If anyone here watching or anyone who watches this later, she is an amazing woman. She's a doula. She's a trainer of doulas. She's one amazing being. So, yeah, people should get in contact with with Mary because she's an amazing, especially if you would like to learn about amazing women things. So yeah, I like talking about, I mean, everyone is beautiful, everyone's amazing, but it's important that we acknowledge each other on this road.
Yeah, awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'll make sure to leave the links too down below of all the stuff we're kind of talking about so that you guys can kind of get in contact with these different people that he is talking about. If any of this stuff we're talking about is resonating, that way, yeah, you can come back to it later.
Hmm.
Um, Thank you, Colin. I also kind of wanted to talk a little bit about, you've been to a lot of places, you've experienced a lot of the world, and I feel like traveling is such a powerful thing because every place you go kind of holds its own lesson, its own experience, I guess,
Hmm.
and allows you to really learn a lot about ourselves. So I kind of just wanted to talk to you a little bit too about your travels and your experiences with traveling and the places that you have been
Hmm.
to and what those places have taught you and what kind of
Um,
opportunities they've also brought into your life.
well, yeah, I've been to a lot of places, but I what I will not name them because for the sake of creating a new story that they're all connected.
Ah,
And there's no difference and there's no borders between these places. And then the human experience and levels of human experiences that I've witnessed within these places. Well, first of all, like within the ceremonial paradigm of et cetera, we're all patients and we're all including the person leading the thing in the reality that we're
right.
all learning. And then, so I've met so many people, and one of the things within, of different statuses, different backgrounds, different everything, and you know, um, we all share the same story with different remixes. Do you know what I mean?
Ah,
Like we're all bleeding, we're
right.
all suffering for some reason or the other, unnecessary. We're all creating different stories that follow the same kind of for lack of a better phrase, conditioned paradigm of what life is about.
Hmm.
So cowboys and Indians, darkness and light, all of these different stories that we adopt really quickly. So we are in this together, this one boat, experiencing different shifts of you know, from the same ocean we're on, right? So we're all feeling the different waves, we're feeling, the different shifts and things like this, and experiencing the same things, loss, regret, what I mean, abuse, all these things that are part of the human condition. We're all doing it in different variations. But um, and then also one of the most important things I found within all of these stories too is just that based on a person's experience and how they've been either taught or conditioned to carry their past into their present, into their future, some people are just so are content with what they have. There's a certain kind of gratitude, a different type of way of looking at life because depending on the conditioning, depending on the mass conditioning of the area or the place, there's some people who are suffering, but they're still like kings and queens to other people. Do you know what I mean?
Hmm.
They have so
Right.
much. You know what I mean? The person suffering about their light bill is not the same as the person who's suffering because they don't have any light. You know what I mean? The person who's suffering
Right.
because there's only about five things in the fridge. It's not the same as the person who's suffering because they don't have a fridge. Do you know what I mean? All these different things. So they're
Right.
different levels, and so different ways of having gratitude, levels of gratitude, appreciation for what you really have, um, understanding how suffering is optional, based on these
Mm,
different places and people I've met. How optional is it really, and what does that mean within the paradigms that you are carrying within your creation story, your own creation story? Again, we came here alone. You came alone, whether you had a sister or a brother, however, but you came alone. You're going to leave alone. And so, whatever you're holding on to, whatever it is you believe, at the end of the day, at your last breath, none of it will really matter. And there's some people who live their life like that. I've met them,
right.
where they're like, hey man, this is the only ticket, like just make sure you check in with yourself every day, knowing that this is the only ticket, that you can't get back tomorrow, and just, you know, boss up, like step into the you that knows that, in a way that it's not just a spiritual statement, but it's a reality. Every word you say is landing in the garden of your life. And, if you don't check your garden, a whole bunch of weeds will run around. And that's also good too. It's all life,
Right.
as long as you appreciate it all. You appreciate the fall, appreciate the rise. You start to even have fun in it, to the great dance. The dance is that nothing's supposed to be easy, but it's a state of mind. Suffering is a state of mind. It all is. So I found a lot of levels, degrees of suffering, levels and degrees of appreciation. Um, and there's some people, some places I've been, that they don't know a lot of information that we know, and they're better off for it. It's like the guy that comes and tells you that, hey, if you don't do this, you're going to hell. And the guy's like, why'd you do that? And he's like, do what? Why'd you tell me? Before that, I didn't
Right.
know any of that information. Now I've got more information to pay attention to. So there's some people who are not vibrating on certain frequencies of information, that their life is better off, because when you don't know, you don't need to know. And whatever frequency you're on, that's where you're going to be. And that may be all you need.
Right.
So I've learned about the dangers of information and indoctrination and all these different things um, from my travels and meeting different people, and lots of humility, because I had to really check in with myself for each person I met, because the reflection was just so hard, so true. And I'm like, damn, wow, you're like, you're like, you have a plate with like four pieces of four chickpeas on it, and the family's getting ready to sit at the table to eat this, and I'm like, damn, I
Right.
I'm looking at my plate, and I'm like wanting more, and all these things. And so yeah, those things and so much more, so many things to learn on the road of life. But as far as things that I use for myself now and on my road of life, some of those are some of the most important things. Perspective is one of the greatest keys that you can have on this journey.
Wow.
Hmm.
Wow. And that's wow. That's so inspiring. I like what you said about just the reflections and all the places that you've gone and the people with those reflections. I guess my next question would be, with suffering, what kinds of what kinds of things have you done and experienced to help you overcome suffering?
Um, hmm. Let's see. I'm gonna say hello to Soul Sphere, Dennis, Prudence. Oh wow, Prudence Newkirk. Wow, from Canada. I was living in Canada for like 6 or 7 years on and off before coming back to the States. I just came back in September to the States, but I was away. I was living in Canada, Northwest Territories, and Prudence is from I don't know if she's there anymore. I don't think she is, but Prudence was from the network, Northwest Territories. Awesome, awesome human being. And hi, Rachel. Nice to see you too. All right, done. Um, Repeat that question. I got a little sidetracked.
Just something that I kind of when you were talking about traveling and overcoming, I guess, suffering. I guess, can
Hmm.
you kind of just define suffering of what that means and also just
Hmm.
how you've gone about being able to overcome that suffering and turning suffering into opportunity?
Hmm. Well, I mean, always I tell people like the most that I could do is speak about my own process and my own journey
Right.
itself. And um, so in in my life, um, there are many challenges that I created for for my own lessons, and so the repetition, not paying attention, um, the when you find yourself in those places of repetition, parts of you that's still catching up to the reality that you're creating, and then carrying our past into our present, always be a recipe for repetition. And
Right.
so I found myself in these situations. Perfect example, especially when it's coming to suffering. I created a really good amount of suffering for myself at a certain point of my journey where um, I had a lot of suppressed sexual energy. I grew up with women,
Mm.
and so I didn't have a lot of the masculine thing, throw the football, da 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 da. I didn't have a dad in my life, and so that came back to bite me down the
Mm.
road. Obviously I wasn't fully aware at that time about what was really happening. So I was in multiple levels of suffering. The suffering was an
Mhm.
echo from my past. This story that was created was an echo from my past that I wasn't fully aware of. So I had to really become aware of where this was coming from. Prior to that, I had some stories of blame, which now I understand is impossible.
Mm.
And so through the process of processing all of these actions and these different things, I call it my dark night, when I really had to like really pay attention to healing myself, to not only just
Right.
healing myself, but just paying attention to all parts of me. In this journey, we spend so much time trying to become something that we forget that we're something already. And then
Mm.
in the journey of like becoming who we are, we understand how much of yourself or that you weren't paying attention to, whilst you're trying to become something. And the worst thing you could do is point a finger when it's always you, in your creation story. And so um,
Right.
I had to really, take accountability for my thoughts, for my words, for the knowing that nothing can happen to me unless I agree, unless I sign a contract, unless I subscribe. Um, and that, blame is impossible, the blameless path of life, where it says, you know, unless you say yes, no, go left, go right, get up, sit down, whatever, unless you move, nothing can happen to you. We are constantly signing contracts into life, even with a nod. Life is so the intricate kind of weaving of this web that we're in, that even a nod could could like set off a whole thing.
Wow.
Like a race, the guy with the gun, everyone is still and they're waiting for this guy to fire. And as soon as he fires, a whole bunch of people starts running, and in the reality of that analogy to our own process, as soon as you think something, as soon as You actualize a thought, you are setting off a domino effect bigger than you could even imagine. And the only way you could know what's going to happen next is one, with definitely your intention, but just the faith and trust that what you are creating is going to bring good fruit, is going to, and that like a car, if one tire has just a little bit of air in it, at some point something is going to happen. So you check the car to make sure all the tires have the air. So as we're going through our life, sometimes we don't constantly check in with ourselves to see if, whatever that situation from last month or last year or whatever has come to its full completion. Um, and so I had to really check in with myself to see what the heck is going on in me. What is this? What's trying to reveal itself, and then to come to understand to my own self-imposed suffering.
Right.
Yeah, so a lot of it had to do with ownership, had to do with like really taking accountability to what I was
Right.
creating and what I was calling into my story of life, and also to like just the gratitude, be grateful for everyone that enters into your life, no matter what happens. It's not about what happened, it's about what happens next. It's about how that story moved you to become something else, to step into your greatness, to step into, because that's always an option in the next choice after whatever story. You have that moment to go, wow, look at what just happened. And if there's enough accountability, you'll see your part. And if you just pay attention to your part, there's more growth in there than adding anyone else into it. And so so that's practice. It's been a very strong part of my philosophy, having to do with that ownership. And so I can create awesomeness and know that it's all on me.
Right.
Everything will come and help as long as I know that I'm the one who's initiating it in the way from my creation story.
Wow. Accountability. Yeah, that's a powerful one. I feel
Ooh,
like
my grandma, Abuelita Cachuera, is watching. Lorraine Moore is her name. She's in Ontario, Canada. Awesome human being. That's all I have to say.
perfect.
Yeah.
I think empowerment is a big thing as far as taking accountability, and that accountability really allows us to step into that state of empowerment for ourselves, I guess. And I guess a big thing that I have, and maybe some of the other viewers here has, is maybe some tools, I guess, and on how to stay in that state of accountability for ourselves, for our actions, for our words, what kinds of tools we can use to keep those practices in our life so we can stay accountable,
hmm
um, and step into that power, of ourselves. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, like I said, meditation is a really good one. Later on this evening, doing part one of that workshop on rituals, the
Yes.
power of ritual. And so this question kind of leads into one of the parts of this workshop having to do with the conditioning, the different levels of conditioning, our memory, like difference between procedural memory and implicit memory, which has to do with long-term memory, or the unconscious memory. So unconscious memory has to do with you, let's say you're riding a bicycle. Um, hey, Jenica. Hey, Deb. Riding a bicycle. And the so you get on the bicycle, you start riding. So your mind is thinking about what's in front of you, where you're going, that you don't crash into anything. The rest of your body, unconsciously, is taking care of balance.
Mm,
So you're not consciously trying to balance on the bike anymore. At certain point, you were in
right.
the beginning, until so that became this unconscious repetition, right? Which is the procedural memory. And so in that space there's this thing that you do now without thinking. Balance, like balance. So people would think that balance is a really important thing that to really concentrate on, but not necessarily. So you ride the bike, your body is taking care of balance and you're taking care of direction and focus. So your body is multitasking. So our body, because of procedural memory, our body multitasks constantly, our mind and our body constantly. And at the same time, one of the offshoots of it is implicit memory, which is the memory that's ongoing, that is looking for the garbage can, that's looking for the child or the dog or whatever, that you don't run into it. So going back to practices, going back into rituals, going back into daily things that you would do that would trigger or to create this procedural memory having to do with whatever the task is. For example, staying within the vibration or the attunement of whatever it is that you're going after thinking or would like to be or to resonate with.
Right.
So, again, still talking about rituals, like an altar, having an altar, or and being the altar. You're the first altar. So if you're going to have an altar that you're going to give energy to, then before you can actually give energy to that altar, you have to give energy to the true altar, to you. So you do that anyway. You brush your teeth, you comb your hair, you take a shower, you put on clothes, you put on different types of clothes. You're constantly taking care of your altar of that way. So this is an unconscious procedural thing that happens, this self-care. So then we can condition ourselves to make anything that way. We do anyway. Every weekend we go to a club. Every weekend we do this. We have our favorite beer that we only drink that beer and things like that. So in the same way, I'm trying to say that in the same way that we do these regular things in life, how we purposely condition ourselves to have this kind of memory or this unconscious way of being, we can do that to reinforce these ways that we would like to be. But it takes diligence, it takes practice, it takes really wanting it. If you really want to know if you really want something, go after it for a certain amount of days and see when you stop. The person who really wants something won't stop.
Right.
So it's kind of like that. You have to really desire it truthfully, honestly, and be prepared for everything that shows up. So meditation, definitely reading, disconnecting from things that keep you at certain vibrations. We have got tons of things that keep us at levels of fear, and we call it entertainment. But we don't really see that it is constantly keeping us in a way of being, a way of thinking, and constantly looking outside ourselves for what's inside.
Right.
Definitely self-discipline is a really important thing, Anthony said. And it's part of our practice. It's like, when should you be where you are? Well, when you realize where you are is where you are. You are where you are, and there's always more to learn. And when will I get there? Well, when you decide, when you choose, when you empower yourself, when you use your words and your action and your walk. And how can I get there? Well, how did you get anywhere in life? That's the reality of that. So, taking that accountability, you go to work, it's not only because you're getting paid that you're going to stay in your seat and do the job. It's not only because you have to pay bills that you're going to stay in the job, whether you like it or not, and do the job. It's because you're choosing to do it. And we choose to do things that we don't like. We choose, just like how we choose to suffer, we choose, the people that stay in jobs for 30 years and then go, oh my God, now I have the power to, and in circumstances, all these different things. But at the end of the day, 30 years, right? That's
Right.
that's a long time. But yeah. Hi, Melanie.
I like that. Well, guys, check out his it's a course, right? It's like a 4-part webinar. The ritual course that you're doing.
Hmm. That's going to be the fourth
Um,
part, and it's going to be live. Meaning it's going to
it's
be at an actual location. The first three will be webinars, which we will, it's about rituals, about creating your own altar, but it's also starting with the altar self. And yeah, so the webinars will be kind of like going through all the aspects of the ritual and all the rituals that we partake in every single day from morning to night, and paying attention to, if you a ritual can be a very powerful thing, and when powerful
mhm.
things happen in your life, then all you need to do is pay attention to what ritual were you a part of, for that. So it's one of the things that we want to kind of like set in the first three modules before the live one.
Okay, cool. Yeah, yeah. I think guys, check that out. I think that a lot of the time we kind of get caught up in hearing all this information coming in, and so we kind of get stuck lacking the tools necessary to help us add things into our lives. And so if you're looking for tools and you're looking for ways to kind of be able to um, I guess, apply the information that you're learning to your life, it sounds like this webinar that you're going to be doing, this 4-part series, is going to be really powerful. So check that out.
Yeah, one of the things I've learned, just again having to do with rituals too, is our personal connection to each other. Um, and all the pains and hurts that we suffer individually and as a mass, and how that has been part of the disconnection that we, that just in the human connection, forget about levels and where you are and who you are and blah blah blah. And
Mm,
there's this really amazing woman I know. Her name is Shayla Tumblin. She does. I think you've met her to introduce you to her.
yeah, talk to her a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah, she does a lot of like women's, not just studies, but she does, what do you call it? Different kind of women empowerment groups and retreats and things like this. And also she's a professional cuddler. I used to like think like, what the heck is that? Da, 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 da. But just from the work that I've been doing, understanding the importance of touch, the importance, the
Right.
healing aspect of like, so many of us are hurt in our physical aspect, the physical parts of us. And that's a really important thing to be healed, because not knowing what kind of energies your body is carrying, having to do just with touch, having to do with
Right.
physical connection, human connection, you pull yourself out of a huge aspect of living, of life, of being connected to that the first thing that you started to become aware of beyond like the fuzziness as a baby was your mother's touch. You
Right.
knew the difference between that and anyone else's touch. The baby cried when anyone else picked up. When mama picked up baby, the baby was good. And so that's a huge connection to our, you know, I call it the spiritual disease or
Mhm.
disconnection. And yeah, to be able to like do that. So um, I said that only because I feel like I've been calling out all of the different people in my life that have made an impact in my life, because
Mm.
of just who they are and what they carry and what they do. Shayla Tumblin is one of those really awesome people. You should look her up on Facebook. She's on my friend thing. Um,
Yeah.
she's an
I'll,
amazing
I'll
being like
also
you.
I'll also put the links down below. I actually had gotten into contact with Shayla myself. I was kind of going through my own little process. I will be getting in contact with her, but she was gonna help with this like sexual abuse kind of stuff and just feeling comfortable in sexuality. So if you kind of got some of that stuff going on, I'll leave the link down below so you guys can kind of get in contact with her along with some of the other people that were mentioned earlier in this little broadcast.
Mm-hmm,
Um,
mm-hmm. And then people, yeah, if anyone would like to know a little more about some of the other things that I do, that there could, my website they can go to my website. I'm
Perfect.
not, this is my first time, one of my first times doing one of these things. And I just got back on my Instagram thing because I've just been like, I've been staying out of a lot of the, plus, but I've been, you've seen me, I've been busy, but I also been
Yeah.
busy taking care of myself and being there for others. And so I haven't been part of this electronic empire um, for in such a way. But I'm really grateful that like someone like you helped me to get over myself in a way to like come and do this because I'm like, yeah, I don't want to like, yeah, I had
I'm
some
I'm
resistance.
so glad you did. Yeah, I'm so glad you did. I'm
Yeah.
really glad you did it. It's been a pleasure to be able to talk with you and get a little bit of your own insight with things. And social media has just been such an awesome platform and is such an awesome platform just to
Hmm.
share with so many people all over the world. So thank
Hmm.
you for being on here and being a part of this. Would you have anything else you would like to add on or mention? Any little insights or inspirations or anything like that before we open it up for some questions?
Um, no, I mean, I would like to say that I'm really grateful that we met. Just to say that, like, from that time on the mountains in California, from the time when I met you there, and then all the conversations we've had from that time on the mountains to now, like, I still feel like we're on the mountain. Um,
Right.
because it was called Manifest Mountain, or it is called Manifest Mountain. So
Yes.
spending that time up, yeah, it was a crazy time. It was something. It was beautiful being up there, but it was magical and just
Yes.
many levels of insanity. And but just watching you transform has been an awesome thing because I don't do this just for the sake of, well, I don't do this for me. If anything, I'm a glorified janitor. And but watching your transformation, not just through, because I try not to, I mean, I don't watch all the things online and everyone's story, and I don't
Totally.
like do too much of that following stuff, but because of our personal conversations. And then every now and then when you post something, I'm like, okay, I'm like just listening to the frequency of it and listening to your growth in it. So yeah, it's been awesome, because again, like we're talking about walking the
Mhm.
talk and all of these different things. And at the end of the day, it's
Totally.
either, it's either you get tired of yourself or everyone else gets tired of you. And when you get tired of yourself and for whatever reason, there's a step up, and it's been
Mm.
awesome watching you step up. You've been stepping up hard. Like, no, I'm serious. Like, I love knowing powerful people. I love knowing people who not only talk powerful, but they're not afraid to walk powerful. And
Thank you.
so, yeah, I just wanted to say that to you, just as far as an acknowledgement, that's a very important medicine in these ways of life. Acknowledgement is a very important thing. So I want to acknowledge you at this moment.
Thank you so much for that, Colin. Yeah, I
Yes.
really appreciate that. Um,
Oh.
And I really appreciate all the other family out there who's been a part of this whole journey and just been so inspiring and so real and so authentic along that path. Colin, Lauren, Z, and so many others. I mean, there's just endless people that have popped on here through this whole
Hmm.
thing. So yeah, thank you guys. Thank all of you guys for everything. Thank you, Colin, for being
Hmm.
such an example. That's something I feel like I've really learned with life is if you can't just talk the talk, you really have to walk the walk because the best way to inspire others is through wa- walking the walk and just acting and doing it. So thank you
Hmm.
for being that reflection for me.
Hmm.
I really appreciate
Hmm.
that,
And
and I really value that in my life.
thank you for subscribing to the truth that walking the walk really means that you get ready to trip, but then when you trip, like how you're smiling, you smile all the way down and then you laugh as you get up.
Yes,
Right.
I like that.
Yeah. Enjoy the stuff, man. Enjoy the stuff.
Thank you.
Yeah. Oh.
I would like to just now open this up for questions. If any of you have any questions for either Colin or I, and everything that's kind of been talked about today, just kind of leave it open for questions for a moment so we can answer those.
There were some
Um,
questions that were asked during the thing. I don't know if you wanted to scroll and see them,
yeah,
or
yeah,
I don't know.
let's
I
do
think
that.
Anthony asked a question at some
Yeah, I did see
point,
that actually.
and
Anthony asked, when your major shift occurred, did you experience sickness or pain? And do you know anything about the topic of shaman sickness?
um, I guess it depends on what does he mean by my major shift. Um, and I mean, I'm always going through a major shift, and sickness and pain is relative to your definition of it and how you carry that. Like suffering, it's optional. My teacher once said to me in the morning, she was like, "Don't ever say you're sick again. Say you're not well. Don't ever
Mm,
say that your desire and happiness. Just say you're happy." So, in the reality of the shift, that would be my biggest shift of understanding of the words I use to define where I am. And as far
right.
as shaman sickness is concerned, we're all ill. Some of the biggest illnesses out there are is within our mental process, how we think of life. Like, my teachers say, like, there's all these like physical sicknesses and things like this, cancer, blah 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 blah. Death is inevitable, so whatever takes you, it'll take you. You're going there anyway. But some of the biggest
Right,
sicknesses is the person who can't hug another person because they need to know them, and a person that won't just give another person food because they're hungry. They need to know
right.
them, or they need to know a story, or something like that, or they need to know what they're going to get, or the person that, you know what I mean? Like, there's a lot of mental things going on that are the actual real sicknesses of the being, of the
Totally.
life force. As far as shaman sickness is concerned, yeah, I don't, that's we're all the shamans. Yeah.
I like
Um,
that. I also feel like a lot of the stuff you're talking about, which I'm sure you would agree with, the mental stuff, the stories we tell ourselves, end up kind of reflecting and manifesting into other forms within our lives, like physically or
mhm,
so on. Because I know I've experienced that in my own life. At times where I'll think that I'm sick in some way, or I'll say aloud that I'm sick in some way, and then before I know it, it's all manifesting, and I'm going through this whole
mhm,
thing,
mhm,
and it's not
mhm.
just until kind of recently in the last year that I started to realize how quickly those things really do manifest. If you believe it in a mental way, it ends up manifesting.
That's so true. My sister Lisa from Texas is watching. Hey Lisa, what's up? I'll see you in February. And then my sister Valerie from Canada is watching right now. We've had some awesome times in the forest with the coyotes and the wolves and the teepee and the sounds and all the things like this. And so say what's up, Valerie. I will send you some music at some point too. I know I've been spazzing on that. And Melanie Lorenko from Hamilton, Ontario. What's up? Okay. Let's see. I'm looking to see if there's any other questions here.
Yeah, I see one more question. And then also, it looks like Anthony has responded. Anthony's response, my reference to shaman sickness is from reading the book Secrets of Shamanism. Was there a point where you remember choosing this path?
Mm, and then we'll answer Zachary's question.
And then,
Um,
yeah,
yeah,
and
I
then
think I.
Zachary, Colin, do you have any advice for working with Thoth?
Um, well, Anthony, as far as so I could say this. I have not. How do I start this? Um, well, As far as the path, I didn't choose anything. You're kind of hitting it on the nail. How I walked into this is because I got sick. I went to the jungle. There was a point where I got sick there and I couldn't leave, like physically, and I couldn't leave. And then so my teachers now, who were the maestros there, they were helping me, and it took a while for that process, you know, and so, and then whilst I was there, as I was getting better, um, they put me into service. So I was washing their laundry, I was cooking dinner, I was going to pick plants with them in the morning. They were just making me useful. So,
Mm.
and they would ask me to do I mean, you know, I would have to like leave the jungle, walk out of the jungle, go get a boat, take the boat, then go take like one of those rickshaw thing with the motorcycles, go all the way into town just to go get a phone card for one of my
Wow.
teachers for a phone card. But it's not that. It's just that there was a moment where there was no moment that I never wanted to not do this for them. I understood that the most shamanistic thing you can do is be of service without desire
Mm.
for anything. That was my
Mm.
first grandest teaching in this work, to understand that too. Um, it had nothing to do with living life. It had to do with life itself. And so from that moment on, you know, my wellness from my sickness started within, you know, and then eventually physically I became well. But what else was sick was not just my body, was different parts of me that I had to like release by just being present in that way. And so it kind of like it
Mm.
walked into itself. So I mean, I was a professional dancer for a really long time. And I traveled, you know, I lived in Italy, Amsterdam, I lived in Paris. I had a crazy gypsy life with dance and things like that. So it wasn't that like, you know, I was wanting to be anything, desiring to go anywhere, or anything like that. But just life, that's what it happened, you know. And also my life itself, like I'm from South America. I'm indigenous to a tribe called Wipishana in Guyana and in a certain area of the Amazon rainforest. And um, or they're migrated also. I found some of the Wipishana people in the Amazon. And so I had to like really go back to my roots. I had to go back to, you know, really desire to. I didn't have to. I desired to find out more about myself root wise. You know,
Mm.
there was so much information that I could have looked at that was in front of me that would give me a whole different picture to paint. But I'd rather go behind me to a place where something was a little more original, and simpler, you know, because they're simple people. You know, my grandma was really simple. She was so simple, it was really powerful because to this day, all the things that she shared with my brother and I, it's in my every word. I'm always saying my grandma used to say, my grandma used to say, because she was so influential. So roots, really important aspect of it. Oh, and then that other question,
Wow.
advice for working
I
with mom.
love that.
I actually, I actually
Yeah.
don't, Zachary. I know that, or what I'm aware of is that whatever it is that you're working with is also working with you. So paying attention to whatever you're working with, making sure that you don't lose you in the process of working with anything. So there's a good balance between whatever it is that you subscribe into, in the sense of that if you're working with something, hopefully you're working with it to work on you, not to become anything, not to whatever, but just make sure that you're working on anything that you can use for your life now and that it's going to affect all the things in your life that really matter. So there's so much information that we can get and so many things that we can get to receive to advance ourselves, become more spiritual in the esoteric, blah, blah, blah. The most spiritual thing that you can have in your life is 360 degrees in your life. Your family, your friends, your relatives, everyone's in harmony, right? That you are in harmony with those people. Because I know some people who've got all the spiritual information, but they don't talk to their mother. So you know, to me, I'm from South America. Things are really simple. You don't talk to your mom. You don't, you know, the one that brought you on this planet. So you've disconnected yourself from
Mm.
source. but you've got a whole bunch of spiritual information, and it's like, you really don't know enough yet. Because if your roots are
Um,
so contaminated by whatever the story is, then pretty much everything up from that foundation will have tainted stuff, because some of the most important things that you need to have in your toolbox, which is relation to source, relation with love and things like that, are still in process. So you could be book smart, you could have a whole bunch of information, but like again, look around you 360 to see what's in harmony and what's not. And that's the most important information you should know before learning anything from any book, from any place, from any star system, from any of the spiritual paradigm stuff. Like none of that really matters, or it won't really fully resonate with you until you're resonating 360 with as much harmony as possible. That's my answer for that, brother.
mm,
Hey, Randolph, how you doing?
mm. Beautiful. Do any of you guys, anyone else, do you have any questions? Anything else you'd like to say? Um, Thank you, Kelly. Thanks for tuning in.
Hey,
Um,
Kelly. Yeah, I think one of the coolest things too about this is that, and I'd like to share with everyone that like everything I've shared so far, everyone is aware of. It's not anything that
right.
no one, I don't get high on my own supply. It doesn't matter that much to me. What really matters is that we are aware that we are all in the same boat, sharing the same information,
Right.
deciphering it. We're all deciphering, we're all on one tree. We're all, all with our individuality, forgetting that we're connected to one tree.
Mm,
So how can a leaf be individual when it's on one tree? It's part of something bigger. And so we're all coming back to that memory of the tree we're connected to the
mm,
sameness, to the, that golden thread, that oneness that we all have, we all share. But it's a journey.
mm,
This is why we call it the path. The path is back to that one tree, where it's like,
mm.
hey, wow, you were here all along, and oh, you were here all along, and holy cow, wait a minute, none of us actually went anywhere. We're all been in the same spot with different views of a place, because the left side of the tree don't see the right side, what the right side is seeing, but again, doesn't really matter at the end, when fall comes, all the leaves are falling on all sides of it. So, that's a beautiful reality having to do with, what else is really going on within our individuality, and, all of these things. I think it's a, yeah, there's a trap in it. As beautiful as it is to be an individual, we all need
Right.
each other. Yeah, we need each other.
Right. I totally agree with that.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, Thank you. Thank you so much, Colin.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Thank you for all your insights and your little pieces of I guess your experiences that have gotten you to the place that you're at. And thank you, Lauren, as well for your little message. I love you too. Thank you, sister.
I love you too,
Um,
Lauren.
yes, Shiloh and everyone else. Thank you all
Mm-hmm.
so much for tuning in and being a part of this. And it's been such a pleasure to be able to do this and to be able to share this information and to be able to just share experience. But this will get uploaded. I'll have this on YouTube. Also put this on the Third Eye Indigo forum group, and then the page. That way, if there's anything you guys missed or you want to share it, feel free to share this around as well. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, do you have anything else, Colin, that you would like to say?
Um, well, I guess just to say to everyone to stay tuned for regular talks with myself and Angela, because well, besides being my sis, like it's really inspirational to have conversation with inspiring people, not just for
Mm,
me or for her, but for all of us, and
yes.
in my like outing of myself on the social media situation because whatever. I talk a lot, but I don't necessarily need everyone to know what I'm saying. But at the same time, it's really important for us to share and for us to it's another
Yes.
part of me walking my talk by understanding that it's really important that we share information. And um, so, yeah, I'm looking forward to creating more labs, this lab that we just created where we all get in and
Yes, agreed.
yeah, and
Agreed.
remember together things, right? So
Right.
yeah, and I'm looking forward to connecting to some of the people that came onto this thing. If you're still on there, some of those people I said hi to that I haven't talked to in a while, yeah, hit me up, send me a message. It's really nice to
Yes,
see your
definitely.
name. Hmm.
Yes. And again, everyone, I'll leave the links down below when I repost this video to all the other stuff. Um, And then if you guys have any other questions that kind of come up when you rewatch this, just go ahead and send either me or Colin a message. I'm sure there'll be more, future talks and that kind of thing for the future. It also kind of leave things open, give us some ideas as to things that you guys are curious about, things that you're interested in, kind of gives us a little bit of direction
Hmm.
on insights that we can provide for all of you. But thank you all so much for tuning on and being a part of this.
One more
It's
shout out, Angela. Eldred Harris is watching. This man, he's a legend. He's from Ithaca, New York. That is one soulful, amazing brother. I mean, holy cow. Hey, bro. I mean, that's a really awesome person. Anyway, I'm going to see you one day, Eldris. Awesome. Anyway, wow. Thank you. Because the craziness is these people I haven't seen or heard from in so long. And of all moments, this is the moment where they pop up. So all the
that's so awesome.
manifestations. Yeah, man. I look at things that way. Like, how does something happen? Something has to happen. And then so
Right.
some of these people I haven't heard from in a long time. And this is where I connect. So I thank you for that too, Angela. Like, you just like, yeah, like 6 or 7 people from like the horror past just popped into my life again because of this conversation. That's some seriousness. Gangster. What?
Yes. The power of
Nice.
social media.
Oh, yeah, I'm slowly embracing, slowly embracing.
Yes.
Anyway, yes, thank you again, sis.
Yeah,
Looking
thank you as
forward to
well.
chatting with you more. And yeah, for those of you who would like to go to attend the workshop, the first workshop is tonight at 7. And I think Angela posted the link for it where you can go. And you also have to get Zoom, which is a format or a platform for it. So you have to download
Mhm.
Zoom to be on the call. Um, and yeah, and I have a beautiful, amazing guest. Her name is Chef Aki, Sepsen Aki. She's an amazing powerhouse, and you should also check her out. She's a vegan raw chef. And yeah, the rituals of food and preparation and mind state and things like that, very important part of our creation story. So she's going to talk about that too in our first module tonight at 7. So looking forward to seeing some of you there. And again, thank you, sister, for your life and
Yes, thank
just
you.
your leadership and your energy.
Thank you, Colin. Right back at you. Thanks for
Aho.
being such an awesome reflection.
Yes,
Um,
aho.
all right. I guess we'll go ahead and tune off. I
Okay.
love all of you.
Okay. Aho. One love.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
Mhm.